We have the antidote to poisons within us. Can that be said of other societies to the same extent? And please note Mr. Dalrymple's use of the word we. It was we when it was people carrying out massacres in the West, in the past, your forebears. It was only we when it's us doing bad things. When is it we expressed by Mr. Dalrymple of pride of what the West has done? That he cannot bring himself to do, and I hope you note it, ladies and gentlemen. This is masochism, and it's being offered to you by a sadist.
Welcome to Douglas Murray Speaks, where we showcase the best of Douglas Murray spitting facts and taking names. Here.
Hey Veracity, welcome back to the channel. It's a girl Vermore and I'm back with another reaction video. Today I'm going to be reacting to Douglas Murray Speaks, and we have This is Barbaric. Douglas Murray confronts leftist professor on Islamic values. Whoa, okay, can't wait to get into this. But before we get started, we have some amazing people watching us for the first time. If you're new to the channel, hello, I'm Vera. I do reaction videos. This is something that you love, why not join Veracity? Hit the subscribe button below, turn on the post notification bell so that you can always be the first person to know whenever a new video drops. And that's, guys, let's go.
Douglas gears up for his most urgent task yet, to cross swords with the forces from within and without that would seek to undermine the West's confidence in its own values, and by so doing, destroy our civilization. Thankfully, figures like Douglas stand at the front line representing and saying what we, the silent majority, think and believe, even as that runs up against the agenda of those in power. Watch now as Douglas strikes at the heart of the hypocrisy of the privileged elites that decry the West while simultaneously taking for granted the rights and freedoms it affords them.
You don't have to go very far in Britain, or the West in general at the moment, to find people's unwillingness to assert the superiority of their values. But they know the superiority of their values because they live with the superiority of their values. I talk at a lot of campuses, and I was at one last night in London where a student got up and started protesting because I had said that an Islamist government was of itself a bad thing, which I think it is. I just said to this student, and it's not a hard question you'd have thought to ask, I just said, well, name me one Islamist government state that you would want to live in. And this is a serious question, ladies and gentlemen. It is also a personal question, and one which, if people were honest, they would admit is personal. As a gay man, there's not a country that's run by Muslims which I could live in. One of my best friends is in hiding again tonight, Dayan Hirsi Ali, because of what she says, and she'd be killed if she went to any Muslim country. And I think that matters. And I think the way in which this affects our personal lives does matter, and we should not ignore it. We have the great blessing of living under this system, and we take it for granted, and we spit on it, and we can because we're living in that freedom. But I beg you, ladies and gentlemen, not to pretend that that means that we shouldn't assert the superiority of that system, because that is what it is. It is a superior system.
Back to Douglas.
Wow, oh my God. So even Muslims are not safe in their own country. Can't you say what he said? He said his friend is in hiding. Because if she goes to any Muslim country, they would kill her. What exactly is the issue with Muslims? What exactly is the problem? They are not, even in their own country, they are not safe. So where are they safe? They are only safe in countries that are not Islamic countries. And you see here some Muslims saying they don't like living in the West. If you don't like living in the West, go back to your country where you came from. Go to other Islamic countries. I'm sure they will welcome you with wild, open arms. Let's go on.
In a sec. As Douglas rightly points out, the only reason people in the West can denounce and criticize the West is because they live in the West. If they were to try that in Tehran or Riyadh, they'd be arrested and imprisoned before they could paint the first letter on their dumb homemade sign. Is part of living in the West having to put up with idiotic protesters who know nothing about the world and don't know how good they've got it? Next, Douglas takes on one of the members of the masochistic class, who love to make themselves look virtuous, but who really just exhibit their own hypocrisy.
And a culture, if there is such a thing as a cohesive Western culture, which gave the 20th century 2 world wars, in which nearly 100 million people died, in which 6 million people were sent to death camps, by the Germans and many more by the Russians, A culture which can do that really must be superior if it can point a finger at others and claim its moral superiority. And
Mr. Glass treated us to a textbook example of Western masochism. And I know some people in the hall enjoy that, because some people laughed and clapped when he cited Western civilization and epitomized it by what? World War, Nazism, Abu Ghraib, Guantanamo. Ladies and gentlemen, if you believe that the West should be treated and regarded only as something which is treated by its lowest moments, and believe that all other cultures and all other civilizations should be treated only by their highest moments, you're already putting in an unequal challenge here.
Back to Douglas shortly. As Douglas rightly states, every country is guilty of horrors, but that has to be weighed against the good that culture has brought into the world. And objectively speaking, without the self-loathing masochism that so many Westerners are culpable of, the West has done far more good for the world than bad. Why does it pain so many leftists who admit this? Why are they so intent on bringing down the one civilization that has successfully realized the rights that they claim to strive for? Next, things get heated as Douglas clashes with a Muslim on the panel about whether reformers of Islam are truly committed or just paying lip service to reform while seeking to carry on their barbaric practices.
We are for principles, rule of law, equal citizenship, accountability, universal suffrage and separation of power. These are the indisputable principles, but let the people find their model. Don't come with your model to impose it onto them.
okay.
What Professor Ramadan is doing is the reverse side of what I hear a lot of conservative right-wing politicians doing now, which is effectively we just have to give them a lot of time. You tend now to hear the thing about people needing their own reformation, Islam being 600 years younger and all this kind of thing. I recently heard exactly the same thing as Professor Ramadan was saying, uttered by Norman Lamont, Baron Lamont of Tehran. He said exactly the same thing, but they need time. Tariq Ramadan said it's going to take time. How much time, ladies and gentlemen? I don't think we have time. And I would beg Professor Ramadan to go around the Muslim world explaining to women in Saudi Arabia they can look forward to freedom in 600 years' time, and that gay people in the Muslim world can look forward to having their first meaningful relationship 6 centuries from now.
So send the troops, please. Send the troops in Saudi Arabia, not in Iraq and not in Iran. In Saudi Arabia, do it and promote them. Promote Saudi Arabia, not Iraq. Why are you not asking the troops to go to Saudi Arabia because of geostrategy?
One moment, please. Look,
We'll be returning to Douglas shortly. Douglas is spot on here. As Westerners, we should proudly assert the values that make us who we are, and call out all behaviors and ways of life in the world that go against those values. To do so is not being intolerant. Rather, it is precisely the fight for tolerance. Is tolerance of intolerance a form of tolerance or intolerance? Can we assert our beliefs while not imposing them on others? Next, Douglas goes up against another Western masochist who cannot abide the West asserting the dominance of its own values.
it's not about Islam, as the lady said so rightly at the back.
Why do you want to impose your religion on others? Why are you imposing your beliefs, your culture, your religion on others? We're not interested. You don't force us to become Muslims, all right? Because in the first place, you guys left your own country. In the first place, you left your country to our own country, to a different country, uninvited. As if that is not enough, then you want to start imposing your laws, your tradition, your beliefs on us. Who does that? Come on.
What about Buddhism? What about Confucianism? All these other systems. I think the key one has to bear in mind is for all that we have to be proud of the West, I believe it is in the arrogant and forceful association of the superiority of Western values that we have consistently undermined all that is most precious in our civilization.
Why we compare them with Muslim values, I agree with the lady. We could have focused on Buddhist values, we could have focused on any other types of values. The reason why it kept on coming back to it is, as you know, because this is the matter of our time. And it is not hard at the moment to notice the calls for the different type of societies that people want to create, and that there is a clear difference. And I hope, ladies and gentlemen, when you vote for the right side tonight, you make this clear. There is a difference between the Western states, which practice their own values that we sometimes mistakenly call Western values, and yes, we should call them liberal values, and yes, we should call them universal values, but we identify them with the West because they came from the West, because they were nurtured in the West.
Back to Douglas in a sec. Yes, as Douglas says, the West is currently involved in a fundamental battle against Islam, which seeks to bring down our most cherished values and usurp the rational, freedom-loving way of life we've enjoyed for centuries. Can we summon the same strength that we historically had to fight against this culture from without, to now fight against it from within? Finally, Douglas reminds us that we are engaging in this fight not just for ourselves, but for every single human being across the globe who longs for a better life and a brighter future.
If we do not assert our values, ladies and gentlemen, who will? Who will assert them across the Muslim world? Who are the reformers in the Muslim world going to look to when they want to see and desperately need separation of church and state? If we do not say, if we do not assert and state that we believe that is the best way to live, who is going to do it in the Muslim world? Who is going to feel emboldened to do it? And Urshad Manji said a few weeks ago when she was in London, said this: if you give up on us, if you give up on yourselves, people like me are dead. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we should take that call seriously. To assert the superiority of Western values is to state the obvious. It's to have faith in ourselves, and it's to have faith in other people. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this look into the mind of Douglas Murray, please hit the like button. Give us your thoughts on the issues discussed in this video in the comments. And for more Murray content coming soon, don't forget to subscribe.
Oh my goodness. Douglas Murray is such an intelligent man. In fact, he deserves to be protected. I know so many people will hate him right now. He speaks sense all the time. Honestly, we need more men like Douglas Murray. Men with guts. Men who are even afraid to speak the truth. Nothing about Douglas. He's never scared to say the truth. And his message would always be, Muslims, go to your country. Why are there so many Muslim refugees in the West? What are they looking for in the Western countries? Go back to your own country. Your country should be able to welcome you, right? Because if a Christian is going to an Islamic country, it is death. They would kill you. They would murder you. Yeah, they are coming to the Western countries. What are they coming to do? What are they looking for? They should go back to where they come from. My honest thoughts. My honest opinion. What are your thoughts on this? What do you think about this video? Drop your comment down below. I totally enjoyed this. If you enjoyed this video as much as I did, give it a huge thumbs up. Please share this video. If you're new to the channel, join Veracity. Hit the subscribe button below. Turn on the post notification bell so that you can always be the first person to know whenever a new video drops. And that's, guys, see you in my next one. Love you. Bye, guys.